So we've got a new feature here at Global 13. We're calling it 13 Talks. And this is when the team and I catch up on the latest sport news, perhaps look back, look forward a little bit. It's a great time of the year to be doing this as well, because some of the sports seasons are coming to an end, some are starting, and there's a few World Cups thrown in there for good measure as well. Delighted today to have Max, Eddie and Olivia with me, and we'll talk about a range of subjects. Eddie, first, what's the sports highlight for you at the moment?
Well, for me at the moment, it's got to be the Rugby World Cup that's going on at the minute. As recent as Ireland's last game against South Africa, a real showing of what rugby union's all about. And looking forward to the rest of the competition. It'll be interesting to see how the home nations get on and who will come out victorious at the end of it.
Yeah, it's a really big moment, I think, for rugby union. The sport has gone through some real challenges in the last 12 months, particularly at the domestic level, not only in the UK where some of the businesses have struggled to do well, but I also think at international level, England has lost its way a little bit. But what I'm enjoying about the World Cup is, like you say, Ireland in particular are playing some great rugby. I think they can go a long way. France, of course, the home nation. I was lucky enough to be at the starting game in the fan zone in Paris just a couple of weeks ago, and it was absolutely amazing. So it'd be interesting to see how it goes, but my money's on either a France or Ireland victory at the end of it. What do you think?
I don't know, that's a tough one. As I've said earlier, I can't look past Ireland. England again will be up there. Just their first game against Argentina, the sort of grit they showed, I think they've got a strong underbelly and could be strong contenders.
Fair point. They've got a lot of talent in that team, and if you can all turn it on at the same time, then maybe go to the finals. So interesting times. Max, what's getting your attention at the moment?
Yeah, so this weekend, as we film it, it's the Ryder Cup starting. So I'm a big golfing fan, so that should be really interesting. Obviously, my first love's football, so unfortunately I follow commentary all over the country. We've had not too good starts to the season, but been enjoying the Premier League. Obviously, the Saudi Pro League, interestingly enough, has been sort of catching my attention. Sort of Ronaldo scored 9 and 6. He's on fire. So yeah, it's been interesting.
Amazing. It's amazing you mentioned the Ryder Cup there. In 1999, I had a year where me and a good friend of mine, Neil, we were able to go to global sports competitions around the world. We were organising the Rugby League World Cup at the time, and we used that opportunity to see what the best tournaments in the world were doing, to learn from them. And we picked and we chose, and we went to NFL, we went to ice hockey in America, we went to Wimbledon, we went to the FA Cup final, you name it, F1, all over the world. And one of the events that Neil wanted to go to was golf. And at that time, I'd never been to a major golf tournament, and it was in Carnoustie, and it was the British Open. And it was the most amazing event that I've ever been to, and I've been to lots of golf since, including Ryder Cup. I've been to the Ryder Cup in the past. What I love about golf, and it's very clear, is that in no other sport can you get within 2 metres of the athlete and his caddy. And I don't think anybody really appreciates in sport, if you've not been close up and personal in that situation, the impact the caddy has on the player. They have done so much work before. They've gone out on the course, they've measured, they've done weather forecast, they've done everything you can imagine. They've done research around, and that relationship between the caddy and the player is unbelievable. It's almost like the mechanic and the driver in F1. He's so close. It's so much closer than any team sport to be successful. So I'm with you. I think golf's one of those things that is fascinating. So we're coming to the end of the Rugby League Super League at the moment. Great win last week for Wigan against Leigh. Really great game actually to win the league leaders. What's been great about Rugby League this year is so many teams could have won the league, and so many teams could have made the playoffs, and it looks to me like the Super League Grand Final this year is going to be really exciting. And of course the women's game has developed beyond recognition this season. We've seen a final at Wembley, the Challenge Cup final won by St Helens, and then we've got York against Leeds playing in the Super League final in a couple of weeks' time. And of course we're very proud here at Global 13, Liv actually plays for Wigan Warriors. How's the season been for you, Liv?
It's been an exciting season. We've actually made 3 semi-finals this year, so we're definitely growing as a team. It's an exciting time to be part of Rugby League. It's an exciting time to be part of women's sport. It's on the up, we're starting to get contracts now, we're getting paid. It's getting exciting, it's how it should be, and it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Certainly is, and for me, a big fan of women's sport over the whole of my career. heavily involved in developing netball. Surrey Storm, of course, a number of years ago, involved with Women's Rugby League now for over 30 years. And the rise of the women's game, of course, guys, the women's football team getting beat in the World Cup final, Max. I mean, what does that mean for women's sport, do you think?
Yeah, it was an amazing tournament, actually, really enjoyable, and some of the sort of women are becoming household names, which in the past was never the case, which is great. I think it's really good. Obviously, women are in Ultimate Team on FIFA 24 for the first time, EFC 24, shall I say, so it's great. People are sort of starting to recognise how talented sort of women are, and women's sport is very enjoyable to watch.
It was surprising to me how long it took. It just shows that we were in a bad place, really. And now, when we start talking about sport, I think that for me, success will be when we don't actually talk about men and women. We just talk about sport at the most elite level, and I think we're getting there now, which is really, really exciting. Now, Eddie, you're also a big cricket fan. You play cricket, of course. England have had an all-right season. It would have been good if we could have won the Ashes. Came incredibly close. It was the weather of Manchester that killed us on that, and now obviously we're going into the winter season. What are your hopes for the England team over winter?
So first and foremost, it was a great Ashes series led by Ben Stokes. I think he sort of set the tone for the whole Ashes and really showed what England are all about. In terms of the future, this winter England will be looking to pick up where they left off, winning the Rugby World Cup. Probably have the strongest side on paper. It will just be a case of beating India in their home conditions.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I lived in the Middle East, still live in the Middle East a lot of the year, and the amount of people from India and Pakistan who live in the Middle East is just unbelievable. And one of my favourite ever experiences was actually in Abu Dhabi. I was actually in a hairdresser's, I was having a shave, and India were playing against Pakistan in a World Cup game. This is probably going back about 10, 11, even 12 years ago. And the rivalry between these guys from Pakistan and the guys from India, and then India won, and the fireworks went off, and it was just unbelievable. I don't think people really appreciate how big cricket is in India. A few years ago, Liv and I were over there, and we were in India, and had the fortunate experience of actually experiencing cricket in India, which again was a highlight in my sporting career, if you will. For me, my ambition is to watch Pakistan play India in Pakistan. What would be your game if you could watch any game? What would it be?
Ooh, good question, Jason. It's got to be England, Australia. I know we've mentioned the Ashes already, but you can't look past the history of it. It's the biggest thing in cricket. Any cricket fan will tell you that.
I would agree, and again, when you get to my age, you get lots of good experiences. A few years ago, just after England had won the Ashes here, that famous Ashes series with Freddie Flintoff, and we went to Australia and we lost 5-0 in the Ashes in the return. I went on that tour. So I went to Australia and watched 3 of the 5 test matches in Australia, which was just unbelievable. The experience was great, but the cricket wasn't. But it's certainly one of the highlights. And another game that I went to, which was interesting, I went all the way to the West Indies to watch West Indies against Australia for the weekend once. In a one-off match. So I love cricket too. I'm a big cricket fan. I think it's one of those things that you either love or you don't hate, but it's a game that you need to understand to really appreciate. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed our new feature here at Global 13 Talks with Max, Eddie, Liv and myself, Jason. We're going to be doing this on a semi-regular basis. When we look forward, we look back and we talk about the things that we enjoy. Most of all, what we want at Global 13 is for you to enjoy your sport. If you've got anything you want us to talk about, anything you're interested in, just drop us a note on the socials and we'll pick it up in the next 13 Talks. Thanks very much.